Mia LaPierre will expose Dexter as the Bay Harbour Butcher, but not because she knows his identity. Instead, it's the storm her arrest creates that will unravel everything Dexter has worked to keep hidden. In this video, I'm going to prove how Mia's framing and imprisonment will set off a chain reaction that leads multiple parties straight to the truth about Dexter Morgan, creating the perfect storm that finally brings down the Bay Harbour Butcher after more than 2 decades of freedom. To understand my theory, we need to go back to the end of episode 5, where Mia is just arrested. Mia's arrest wasn't random. It was orchestrated by Dexter to protect his son Harrison. Here's what really happened. Harrison had killed Ryan Foster, a repeat sexual predator at the Empire Hotel, after catching him trying to rape a woman named Shauna. But Detective Claudette Wallace was closing in on Harrison as her prime suspect, and Dexter knew he needed to act fast. Meanwhile, Mia had decided that she was done waiting around after Dexter rejected her proposal to kill together. She was what she called murder horny, and decided to go hunting alone that night. She picked up a guy named Mark at a bar and decided to bring him back to her apartment to torture and kill him. This gave Dexter the perfect opportunity. He broke into Mia's apartment before she arrived and planted Ryan Foster's watch, the one Harrison had taken to get repaired, right in her music box trophy collection. Then he waited. When Mia finally showed up with Mark and knocked him unconscious, Dexter called 911 with a fake New York accent, reporting that he could hear a man screaming and a woman calling herself Lady Vengeance, trying to murder someone at Mia's address. The timing was perfect. Police arrived while Mia was setting up her torture apparatus, catching her red-handed. But crucially, when they searched her apartment, they found Ryan Foster's watch among her legitimate trophies. To the cops, it looked like just another piece of evidence linking her to multiple murders. So Mia got arrested for 2 things: actively torturing Mark and the planted evidence suggesting she killed Ryan Foster. Dexter's plan worked. He successfully framed her for Harrison's crime. But this seemingly smart move will actually be what exposes Dexter's true identity. Well, at least that's my theory, so hear me out. But before we get into that, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying the video. So Mia's arrest would have sent shockwaves through Leon Prater's organization, and for good reason. For Prater, losing Mia isn't just about losing a reliable killer. It's about the suspicious timing. Mia, an experienced killer, is suddenly arrested after meeting with Red? Think about this from Prater's perspective. Everything was running smoothly in his organization until this new guy, Red, showed up at the dinner party. Then suddenly, within days of meeting him, one of his most trusted killers gets arrested? Prater's not stupid. He's not going to see that as a coincidence. But it gets even worse for Dexter. Lowell, the tattoo collector who promised to deliver a fresh trophy by the next meeting, will also be conspicuously absent, because Dexter killed him to save Jules, the tattoo artist. So now Prater has 2 of his killers who vanished or been compromised immediately after meeting Red. One gets arrested under suspicious circumstances with planted evidence, and another just disappears entirely. That's going to raise massive red flags for someone as paranoid and careful as Prater. From his perspective, either Red is incredibly unlucky, or he's the common denominator in his organization falling apart, and Prater didn't build a billion-dollar empire by believing in coincidences. At the end of episode 5, we see Charlie visit Mia in prison. She delivers a message from Prater that her stay would be comfortable and brief. Now, given that Prater had Keith, the Canton clubber, killed for breaking the rules, this sounds ominous. But considering how much the writers have invested in Mia's character, it's more likely Prater plans to help her rather than eliminate her. But I think the real purpose of Charlie's visit will be intelligence gathering. As a former special ops operative, Charlie has the skills to extract information from Mia about what really happened, and I believe that Mia is going to tell her everything about Red. Here's the crucial detail. Mia will likely mention how Red talked nostalgically about Miami during their wine date. Remember, Dexter described how the wine reminded him of Miami after it rains. Not just casual knowledge, but intimate, emotional memories of a city that supposedly had nothing to do with Ronald Schmidt from New York. She'll probably also describe how weird Red was acting overall, his reluctance to actually kill with her, his strange behavior when they were supposed to collaborate, and how he seemed off compared to what she expected from the legendary Dark Passenger. Mia might tell Charlie that something felt wrong about him from the start, and that he didn't act like the other killers she met. When Charlie reports back to Prater, I think he's going to start piecing together something disturbing. Prater isn't just casually interested in serial killers, he's obsessed with them. He has memorabilia from the Bay Harbour Butcher in his collection, which means that he studied that case extensively. So when Mia describes Red talking intimately about Miami, combined with his weird behavior and the suspicious timing of everything falling apart after he showed up, I think Prater's going to get highly suspicious. The fact that this mysterious new killer has deep personal connections to Miami, the exact city where the Bay Harbour Butcher operated, is going to set off alarm bells. Prater's the kind of guy who collects trophies from famous serial killers, so he's definitely going to know the geography and details of this case. Miami isn't just a city to someone obsessed with serial killer history. It's where some of the most famous cases happen. When you combine that with Red's strange behavior, his apparent expertise, and the fact that 2 killers disappeared or got arrested right after meeting him, Prater might start wondering if he's dealing with someone much more significant than just another serial killer. I'm not exactly sure how Prater would make that final leap to conclusively identify Dexter as the Bay Harbour Butcher, but given his resources and obsession with the case, I wouldn't be surprised if he connects those dots in the next episode. And if he does, Dexter is in serious trouble. But Prater and co aren't the only people who are going to figure out Dexter's true identity as a result of Mia's arrest, I think. While Prater conducts his private investigation, Detective Claudette Wallace will likely be pursuing her own line of inquiry. Here's the thing, Wallace was originally investigating Ryan Foster's murder, so when his watch shows up as evidence in Mia's arrest, she's going to want to interview Mia personally about that specific piece of evidence. But I don't think Wallace and Agent Batista are going to be fully convinced that Lady Vengeance actually killed Ryan Foster. Wallace, with her methodical precision, should quickly spot inconsistencies in the case against Mia. When Wallace interviews Mia about Ryan Foster's murder, it's possible that Mia will insist she never killed him. And here's the thing, Mia remembers all her victims clearly and keeps detailed trophies from each kill. She should know immediately that Ryan Foster's watch doesn't belong in her collection. She'll be able to tell Wallace exactly which victims each of her trophies came from, making it clear that someone planted the watch to frame her. Now, Wallace will probably start investigating who had access to both Ryan's belongings and Mia's apartment. She could trace the watch back to Harrison Morgan, who took it for repair and picked it up after Ryan's death. This might lead her to question how it ended up in Mia's possession instead of staying with Harrison, which could open up a whole new plot which I can't even fit into this video. Meanwhile, Angel Batista will likely want to interview Mia because of the similarities between Ryan's murder and the Bay Harbour Butcher's methodology. Remember, Batista came to New York specifically because he suspected that the Bay Harbour Butcher might still be active, and he's been haunted by his ex-wife Maria LaGuerta's theory that Dexter is the real killer. And here's where everything could fall apart for Dexter. During the interview, Batista might show Mia a photograph of Dexter Morgan as part of his investigation into whether Dexter is the real Bay Harbour Butcher. If this happens, Mia would immediately recognize Dexter as Red, the mysterious dinner party guest who showed such intense interest in her methods and talked nostalgically about Miami. But I do find it hard to believe that Mia will do any talking to the police. Her reaction may just be enough for Batista to confirm his suspicions. This is where these separate investigations could converge, but more importantly, they'd be operating independently. Prater will likely figure out Dexter's identity on his own through his obsessive knowledge of serial killer cases and private resources and won't coordinate with law enforcement. He's running a criminal organization, after all. The last thing that he wants is police involvement. Meanwhile, Wallace and Batista could uncover crucial evidence about Dexter being the Bay Harbour Butcher through completely separate channels. Wallace's investigation into the planted watch could lead her to Harrison and ultimately Dexter. Batista's interview with Mia, even if she doesn't say much, could provide him with the confirmation he needs if she recognizes Dexter's photo. The evidence could be overwhelming precisely because it's coming from multiple independent sources. Prater might have intelligence proving Red was suspicious and likely responsible for framing Mia. Wallace could have forensic evidence that someone with inside knowledge planted the watch, and Batista might have Mia's recognition of Dexter, even if it's just a facial reaction rather than a verbal confirmation. Unlike Dexter's previous escapes, where he faced one investigator at a time, he might now be confronting multiple threats that aren't even aware of each other. Each investigation would be reaching the same conclusion about Dexter's identity through completely different methods and evidence. If my theory is correct, the storm that Mia's arrest creates could finally bring down Dexter Morgan, not because she discovered his secret, but because the circumstances of her framing provide multiple parties with exactly what they need to connect the dots they've been trying to piece together for years. For the first time in the series, Dexter won't be able to eliminate or discredit a single threat. He'll be facing multiple investigators closing in on him simultaneously, each unaware of the others, but all reaching the same devastating conclusion. This could be legendary. I mean, I have so many ideas and theories, but I would love to hear what you all have to say, so please drop a comment. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.